Okay, so last week we did not have any class because of some other engagement that I had. Uh, just a minute. Hello. Yeah, this is from TCS, right? Nice talking to you. Actually, I'm in a class now, so shall I call you after 3:30 if you don't mind? Yeah, I'll give you a call back after 3:30. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is we last time we talked started talking about geostrophic equations and all. So basically, we started that course on frictional motion. So we looked at if this is our equation, and if we assume that there is no flow in the motion, then basically we end up having a hydrostatic equation, which basically tells us that P is equals to rho g and h. Okay, and then sorry, then we looked at the inertial motion. Inertial motion is what? If there is a forcing, and then the water column will have a motion. But as soon as forcing ends, it will not stop there. It will also move due to its inertia. So this is called inertial motion. And we saw that a solution of inertial motion in which we assume that there is no other external force like pressure gradient and all, and to simplify the equations, and we found there is a differential equations of second order differential equations. If we solve that, we'll see a solution like this. So u will be a function of sine, v is a function of cos. It means, and which is dependent on time and the Coriolis parameter f. It means that if time changes, then your Coriolis parameter, due to your Coriolis parameter, it will either rotate to the right or to the left, depend upon which hemisphere you are. So basically, we will have a rotational velocity. So we saw some movies also. So Devasis, if you want to switch off your camera, you can do that, I think. So then we looked at geostrophic motion, and in the geostrophic motion, what we found is that suppose we have a isobaric surface. So last time I spoke to you what is meant by isobaric surface and what is meant by level surface. That means equipotential surfaces. So say for a given point A, the pressure gradient acts perpendicular to the surface del P del N, but your gravity is perpendicular to the surface of equipotential surfaces. So that means there is an angle between them, so they cannot balance each other. So when we splitted that, we found that a cos function of this pressure gradient will balance the gravity, but there is an unbalanced force which is del P del N sin I, where I is the angle between isobaric surface and isopotential surfaces. And in order to balance this unbalanced force, we saw that okay, the Coriolis force is the only other force which can balance it, and we found that this is basically a Fu to omega sine phi into you use any vector either u or v, which will balance this unbalanced parameter, and this is basically called a geostrophic balance. Okay. So today we'll start from there. So I didn't prepare PPT today, but Yeah, so this is the equation finally we did that if we have a velocity of say 1 meter per second, then in order to have a surface raised by about a 1 meter, you need a distance of about 100 kilometers. So last time we calculated from this equation 2 omega sine phi v1 equals to g tan I. I hope you remember that. So we'll start from there. So the thing is that next what we look at is what we'll look at is the vertical velocity. So from the geostrophic equations, what we understood is that there is a relation between V and P, and then similarly U and P. So that means if there is a change in pressure in the horizontal, that will lead to currents in terms of U and V. Okay, but we didn't get any expression for W. W means the vertical velocity. Okay. So in order to do that, what we can do is that we know there is a continuity equation, right? Del U del X plus del V del Y equal plus del V del W del Z equals to 0. Equation of continuity, you must have heard of it. So we can do some small calculus and we can find out what is W. So what we did is that since this is a x derivative equation, we will take a y derivative of this and we'll take a x derivative of this. Okay, if we do that, then what will happen is, and then subtract each other. Okay, so what will happen is that since this is a y derivative, we'll take a y derivative of this, we'll get del v by del y, and this one is basically we are taking x derivative, so we'll get del u by del x. Okay, and we are assuming that f is a constant, that means it is a f plane, so f is not varying with latitude, that is what we are assuming. And this will be equals to what? The right hand side will cancel each other because it will be del square p del x del y, and this is also will be del square p del x del y, so they will get cancelled out. So you will have f multiplied by del v del y plus del u del x equals to 0. So now we are assuming that f is not 0, so that means we are not talking about the equatorial motion where there is no produce force. So f is non-zero. So if f is non-zero, then what will happen? This component should go to 0, isn't it? So if this component goes to 0, then what happens? Del w del z equals to 0. Are you following? Because I cannot see anyone and nobody is responding also.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it means what? It means what? Del w del z equals to 0. It means that w is constant with respect to z. W
Sir,
is
we are taking incompressible fluids.
yeah, we are assuming incompressible fluid. So yeah, it is a very valid approximation that in equation of continuity, basically you have del rho del t plus that del u del x del v del y. So we assuming that okay, your this you have a incompressible fluid, which is a pretty good approximation, and if we assume that, then this is equals to del w del z. Okay, and now if we assume that okay, fluid is incompressible, what is the disadvantage of that? The disadvantage of that is that, for example, sound wave. So you are basically filtering out sound wave, because sound wave you need to have a contraction and expansion, right, in order to propagate. Now if we assume w rho is not changing, it means that you cannot have contraction and expansion. That means you basically filtering out any sound wave. Okay, so and anyway we are not interested in sound wave in this case, so it is a pretty good approximation. Okay, so in this case we got del w del z equals to 0. So it means W is constant with respect to water column. Fine. Now, what is the consequence of that? Consequence of that is that, see, W is constant means it is constant everywhere from surface to the bottom. Now, in the bottom, you cannot have W, okay, because the bottom is not moving. So there is no W. So W is zero there. Also, if we assume that our surface is also not moving with respect to time, we basically call it as a rigid lead boundary condition. That means you have a flat surface, it is not moving, it is not doing any oscillation. So in that case, my W will be zero at the top or at the bottom. So that means W is basically zero at the entire water column. So in any F-plane situation, that means if we assume that the Coriolis force is not changing with respect to latitude, then as per the geostrophic approximation, you will not have any W in the water column. So what is the consequence of this? Consequence of this is, suppose I have a geostrophic motion in the open ocean, okay, and in between, in the bottom, you have a ridge. Ridge means like a mountain, okay. You have a mountain at the sea bottom. Now, if there is a ridge, the problem with the geostrophic approximation is that it cannot flow past the ridge. Because if it has to flow across the ridge, then there has to be a W velocity. Okay. Now, if we assume that if we assume, say for example, in the same latitude, okay, where F is not changing anyway. Okay. So in that case, the flow motion, geostrophic motion cannot cross the seamount or the ridge at the same latitude. Okay. In that case, it has to acquire a W velocity, which is not permitted as per the geostrophic motion. Okay. So the geostrophic motion, strict geostrophic motion, will not be able to cross a ridge or a seamount in the same latitude. Okay, in F. Now, if we consider beta plane, now this is another part of your equation of continuity. Del rho del t, u del rho del x, b del rho del y, w del rho del z. So we are assuming that del rho del t is basically equals to 0. Okay. Another part of equation of continuity we have assumed already. It basically means that your local rate of change of density plus the advection change, the advection of density by the flow field is basically equals to 0. That's what you assumed. Is it okay? So the equation of continuity, you have this part del rho del t, this part, plus you have the del u del x, rho multiplied by del u del x plus del v del y plus del w del z equals to 0. That is our equation of continuity. Everybody clear, right? With that equation of continuity. So, so we assume in the first part itself that del rho del t is equals to 0. So, so this is the part actually, the del rho del t equals to 0. And we are assuming that with respect to time, it is not changing much because the change in the rho with respect to time is very small. Okay, local rate of change. Unless you bring in some fresh water into the place or you have evaporation. Okay, so basically you have that advection into picture. Okay, this part into the picture, but not this part. So this is relatively small because it cannot change with time unless you have a advection effect. So this part is equals to 0. So if this part is equals to 0, then we have u del rho del x, v del rho del y plus w del rho del z equals to 0. It is basically nothing telling that your advection is 0. Okay. Not advection, the change of density because of the advection is 0. Okay, this is what it is telling. Okay, so this is my equation, geostrophic equation, Fv equals to 1 by rho del p del x. Okay, pardon me for my handwriting, it is very bad, I know. So somehow manage it. So Fv equals to 1 by rho naught del p by del x. That is my that is our geostrophic equation. Okay, V equation. Let's go to the top. Fv equals to 1 upon rho naught del p del x. This is my geostrophic equation. So I can take that row to the other side. We have written row naught. Okay, why I have written row naught instead of row? Any idea?
Yes, sir. It's the Bosonisk approximation, I think.
Yeah, it's a Bosonic approximation, which says that the row we can assume as a constant or the mean density for all equations except when it is multiplied by a bigger number, such as g. So, for example, in our W equation, which is basically reduced to hydrostatic approximation, you remember, right? So our W equation reduced to hydrostatic approximation, del P del Z equals to minus rho G. So in that equation only the rho has to be variable because it is now multiplied with the G. Okay, very big number. For a small change in rho, because G is very big, the number will vary a lot. It is a multiplication. So in except in that equation, all other equations you can assume rho is basically constant or the mean density. Okay, so that's why that is denoted by rho naught. So rho naught FV equals to del P by del X. So this is my star equation. Remember this. The star equation means what? Our advection is equals to advection of density is equals to 0. Okay. So now what we did is that we took a z derivative of this. See, basically what our objective is to find out w. Okay, in the first equation also, what we did, we wanted to find a w. We had a del p del x, we had a del p del y. We know u and v, and we want to find out w. So in order to find w, we need to basically get this equation. Okay, to do that, we have to do a y derivative of this, x derivative of this. We'll do the same thing here. So this is our equation, rho naught fv equals to del p by del x. So now we will do what? Z derivative. The z derivative if we do, then this part can be exchanged. So this is del x p, right? So if you take del z, del z is supposed to be first, and then you should have del x p. Okay, but in differential equation, so when a variable is continuous, okay, then you can exchange the variable in derivative. Okay, so that's why del x del z can be changed and p. So you keep del x outside. Now this part is del p del z. Okay, this part is del p del z. What is del p del z? From equation of hydrostatic equation, we can write P equals to minus rho G. Okay. Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yeah. So then del Z basically minus rho G. You can directly write del P by del Z equals to minus rho G. So this is basically minus rho G. So G is not changing with respect to X, right? So minus G, and that is del rho by del X. Okay. So this is from the V equation we got. So what we got? This derivative of Z of this left hand side of the quantity will give you what? Minus G del rho del X. Okay. So rho naught F del V by del X, this part will give minus G del rho by del X. Now, if you do the same thing for this U equation, you have the same thing, but you don't have that minus sign here. Because for the U equation, you already have a minus before. Okay, so this minus sign will not be there if you just repeat it. Just try to repeat that and let me know if you get the same equation. Take this equation, minus Fu equals to 1 upon rho naught del P del Y, multiply rho naught both sides. So you will get minus rho naught Fu equals to del P by del Y. Do that, all of you. So multiply rho naught both sides, you will have minus rho naught Fu equals to del P by del Y. Now, once you do that, then you take z derivative, both sides. Take z derivative, both sides, left hand side and right hand side. Same like this. Take z derivative, left hand side and right hand side. Okay. And then tell me whether you got this or not.
Yes, sir.
That others also get it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we got a relation of V with rho. Okay, similarly with U with rho, and of course there is a Coriolis coset. Now what is my star equation? The star equation is basically advection of densities equals to 0. U del rho del x plus V del rho del y plus W del rho del z. Now what you got is del rho del x and del rho del y. Okay, add this del rho del x and del rho del y in this equation. Okay, write down this equation U del rho del x plus V del rho del y plus W del rho del z equals to 0. And then you have to replace this del rho del x equals to g you take to the other side. Similarly, del rho del y g you take to the other side and replace like this. Did you got this equation? Minus u del v del z plus v del u del z equals to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You take everything to the
Yes,
right.
sir.
Okay. So now what we want is that we want to convert this equation into a polar form. Okay. So in order to make it in a polar form, what we have to do? We have to take u equals to v is basically magnitude of the current cos theta and and v equals to capital V, which is the magnitude of the current sin theta. Okay. Now put this u equals to v sin theta, v equals to v sin theta to this equation, and you should have this. Okay, just try that. Where v is constant, you have to take derivative with respect to theta only.
Yes, sir.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let others also get. So you basically get cos square theta plus sin square theta, which is equal.
Yes, sir. Cos square theta plus sin square theta 1. Sir. V square, sir, we take in right hand side.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what we got in a polar form of that equation. Now this has a very good physical meaning. The physical meaning is written here. So thing is that del rho del z is less than 0. So density is increasing in the vertical, right? If it is increasing in the vertical, z we know that it is negative in the ocean. So since density is increasing in the vertical, del rho del z is always negative. And assuming that we are in northern hemisphere, so f is positive. Okay, so it implies that for w equals w greater than 0, so that means what? F is positive, g is positive, v square is anyway positive, rho naught is positive. So this is a positive value. Okay, del rho del z is a negative value. Okay, so if my w is positive, that means the velocity is towards the surface. Okay, say suppose upwelling, velocity is towards the surface. If w equals to 0, then del theta del z has to be negative.
Yes, sir.
If w is positive, del rho del z is negative. So that means del theta del z has to be negative. What it means? It means that theta is decreasing as you go towards the surface. Del theta del z is negative, it means theta is decreasing towards the surface. As z is decreasing, am I saying correct? Yeah, as z is increasing towards the surface, z is increasing, right? If you go from bottom to the surface, your z is basically increasing, but your theta is decreasing. If theta is decreasing, say for example, theta is from 90 to 0, it is going. Okay. So at 90 degree, I'm taking on degree for a easy understanding. So cos will be 1, sine is basically, sorry, sine is equals to 1, cos is 0. Okay. So that means you have a v equals to capital V, but u is equals to 0. So my velocity is basically towards the north. Okay, so as the flow is coming to the top, I will have a w velocity fine, but then it will have a velocity towards the north, right? Initially. But as it is coming to the surface, that 90 will become 0 because it is decreasing. Okay, assuming it may not be 0, it may be something less, but it is decreasing eventually. So if I take it 0, then what happens is that this portion will become 0 and this portion u will become maximum. V is 0, U is maximum. So it means what? That my flow from north, it became to the east. Isn't it? So it means that if the water parcel, as the water parcel is moving towards the surface, it will have a positive W, fine. But because of this positive W, it will have a rotation also. The rotation will be clockwise, okay, in the northern hemisphere. This is what will happen. So the flow field will acquire a rotation, okay, due to this. If I assume there is a W which is positive, then the flow field will acquire a rotational velocity which will be clockwise in the northern hemisphere and anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so this is going to be a case. Now we also assume that my F is not constant. This is one problem. Okay, so remember this. It can be a separate problem also. Now assume that f is not constant. That means f is varying with respect to latitude. Okay. So sometimes we refer it as beta. Beta equals to del f by del y, means how it is changing with respect to latitude. That is refers by a symbol called beta. Okay. So that means my beta is non-zero now because f is changing with respect to latitude. So there is a beta. So when you are taking f with respect to y, see the last time we have taken derivative here. You remember? this, you have taken y derivative in this equation, del p del x, and then you got del v by del y. F is outside. Basically, we assume that del f del y equals to 0. It's a multiplication of two variables, right? So we assume 0. In this case, anyway, it is 0. Del f del x is always 0. F is not changing in the same latitude. Okay? So del f del x is always 0, but del f del y is non-zero in a beta plane. That means when f is changing. Okay. So for a beta plane, when we will do the derivative with respect to y, we have to take f del v del y plus v del f del y. Okay, we cannot make it 0 anymore. Equals to 1 upon rho naught del p del x del y. So we have taken y derivative of the first equation. Now equation 2 will remain same because del f del x equals to 0. It is not changing with x. Okay, it is only changing with respect to y. We got this equation. Now add this equation again to get w. Find it out. In the last time we have added these two equations, subtracted these two equations to get w, right? You have to do the same thing, but now you have an extra term. Okay, just do this. So I have now these two equations. You have to subtract from equation 6 to 7. Well, that means 6 minus 7 you have to do to get w. Find out that w. You got it? You should get something like this. So right now because there is a beta here, my del w del z is no longer equals to 0. So we have a beta v here. So f del w del z equals to beta v. Now it suggests that since beta is non-zero, and if v is 0, then anyway w will be constant. But we are assuming that uv is non-zero, right? If v is 0 means basically u is also 0. Otherwise, v is related to p. V is 0 means p is 0. P is 0 means u is 0. So everything is stable. There is no motion. So there is non-zero v. If v is non-zero, the flow is not just east-west, but del W del Z is also non-zero. That means W changes with respect to depth. So what it suggests is that when my geostrophic flow is trying to move in a same latitude, for example, you have a wall, it cannot move further because in that case it has to have a W. Okay. Now, in order to acquire a W, it will have to have a varying F. That means the flow will no longer be in the same latitude. It will change its course to gain that variability in F. As soon as F is varying, then it can have a W, and then it can cross. Okay. So because of the mountain, geostrophic flow will acquire a meridional flow. Even if it is in the horizon, in the same latitude, zonal direction, but because in the zonal direction, if it stays only in zonal direction, it cannot have a W velocity anymore. Okay, so in order to acquire the W, it has to move latitudinally. That means to the north or to the south in order to have a change in F. As soon as F changes, it can have an extra W, which can allow it to cross the mountain. Okay, so that's why the beta effect, this is called basically a beta effect. So you need a beta effect in order to geostrophic flow to get a W velocity. Is it fine? Yeah, so this is how the W velocity is calculated. So I think I will not go in further today. I have another meeting actually after this. So I wanted to start at least potential potency. Okay, anyway, we'll start it next day. So we'll not start it this day. So after this, I will start something called quasi-geostrophy. So in this case, we assume that there is no T term already. Okay, so we have only a steady flow. That means it is not changing with respect to time. So, and with that assumptions, we build a geostrophic motion. But if we only assume that there is nothing is changing with respect to time, we will not have any understanding of weather, for example, okay, because it changes with respect to time. So we need to have some relaxation in this approximation. So we have to have the term del U del T, okay, with some more conditions, but with a little bit relaxation in order to allow that the flow can evolve with respect to time. Okay, so and this is the concept is called basically quasi-geostrophic approximation. So we'll deal that quasi-geostrophic approximation in the next class. But before doing that, we have to have an understanding of conservation of potential vorticity. Okay, so we know what is vorticity. There are basically two types of vorticity that we'll be looking at. One is called planetary vorticity, which is basically called F. The vorticity basically means the rotational momentum. Okay, so basically Earth is having a rotational velocity, so it has its own vorticity. So that's why you call it as a planetary vorticity, represented by F, because of the rotation of the planet itself. But we can also have a relative vorticity, which is something called eta, is basically the curl of the current itself. Okay, but interestingly here note that both are in Z component. Okay, our Coriolis force F is in Z component F, and also the relative vorticity I'm talking in terms of Z component of the curve. Okay, which will turn out to be del V del X del U del Y. So the next class you tell me that why they are in the Z component. Okay, how, for example, you tell me how F is in Z component. I already explained that. When I taught the treatment of centrifugal force, that time we had this how to rotate the angular velocity omega to x and y and z. Okay, so go back to those lectures and then you tell me how f is actually a perpendicular component, not the horizontal component. Okay, it is very frequently people mislead. Okay, you assume that the 2 omega sine phi is in x direction or is in y direction. No, it is in z direction. Okay, this is z component. So you tell me that next class. Okay, similarly, we have relative vorticity, which is basically a tendency of rotation of the velocity vector itself, which is del v del x minus del u del y. So we have two vorticity. If we add them, we get eta plus f. This is my absolute vorticity. And if this vorticity is divided by the depth of the water column, it is basically called potential vorticity. So that means the entire water column, what is the rotational tendency? It is basically called potential vorticity. And we'll find out first that the potential vorticity is conserved when the motion, in the fluid motion. Okay, so once we understand that, then we can build on a quasi-geostrophic approximations and we'll see that how flow field should be. So that will be our next class. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
If you have any question, you can ask me. Some time is there, then I have to join another meeting. Have I shared this last week video? I must have forgot, I think.
We have to check, sir.
Okay. Anyway, I'll just check it, and if not, I'll share it to you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then I'll just write down. Yeah. Okay, then. See you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.